Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into a fascinating question that many people wonder about, but few understand correctly. When a woman touches herself, her hair, lips, or neck, is that a signal? Let's break it down. Segment 1. Understanding nonverbal communication. Human communication is largely nonverbal. Research suggests that up to 90% of what we communicate happens without words. This includes facial expressions, posture, gestures, and self-touch behaviors. When someone touches their hair, lips, or neck, it could be sending subtle emotional messages. But what do these gestures mean? Are they signs of nervousness, comfort, or attraction? These questions require us to look at the psychology behind body language. In this series, we'll explore each gesture, its potential meanings, and how to interpret them in real-life situations. The goal is not to jump to conclusions, but to understand the full context behind these subtle signals. Let's start by exploring why self-touch happens and what it might signify. Segment 2. Why people touch themselves in conversations. Self-touch is often subconscious. It's part of what psychologists call pacifying behavior. Actions people take to soothe themselves when they're anxious, excited, or emotionally stirred. In social situations, especially ones involving attraction or uncertainty, people tend to touch their own faces, hair, or necks more frequently. These touches can serve as a form of emotional regulation, but they may also be a cue to others. Understanding the motivations behind self-touch is the first step toward decoding its meaning. Was the person just fidgeting out of habit, or were they reacting emotionally to the interaction? The answer depends on multiple factors, including timing, frequency, and accompanying nonverbal cues. Let's start our breakdown with one of the most observed behaviors: hair touching. Segment 3. Hair touching, a closer look. Hair touching is incredibly common, especially among women. It can involve twirling, flipping, adjusting, or running fingers through the hair. While it may seem like a habitual or cosmetic gesture, it often carries emotional weight. When someone repeatedly touches their hair in your presence, especially while making eye contact or smiling, it can be a subconscious sign of interest. The gesture draws attention to the face and neck, both of which are sensitive and intimate areas. However, hair touching can also indicate nervousness. If done rapidly or alongside other anxious behaviors, like shifting weight or avoiding eye contact, it may mean the person is simply uneasy. Always read hair touching in context. Are they relaxed or tense? Engaged or distracted? These clues help determine whether it's a flirtatious signal or a self-soothing habit. Segment 4. Lip touching, seductive or stress. The lips are highly expressive and sensual. Touching, licking, or biting the lips can serve many purposes. In some cases, it's a nervous habit, something done without thinking during moments of uncertainty. But in others, it's an unconscious flirtation. Gently biting the lip, especially when paired with prolonged eye contact, often signals attraction. The key is to look at the timing and setting. Is the person doing it while laughing, smiling, or reacting to something you said? That could suggest positive emotional arousal. But if the gesture is paired with frowning, hesitation, or discomfort, it may simply be a stress response. Lip touching is subtle but powerful. Watch for accompanying expressions and body language for clearer meaning. Segment 5. Neck touching, vulnerability and trust. Touching the neck is one of the most emotionally revealing self-touch gestures. The neck is a vulnerable area, both physically and emotionally. When someone touches or rubs their neck, it may signal discomfort, uncertainty, or stress. However, in certain contexts, it can also indicate trust and openness. For example, if a person exposes or strokes their neck while smiling or leaning in, it might suggest comfort or romantic interest. This is especially true when other positive body language cues, like open posture, relaxed tone of voice, and sustained eye contact, are present. Be cautious about overinterpreting this one gesture. Instead, use it as part of a larger pattern of behavior to assess emotional tone. Segment 6. Emotional clusters, the real language. No single gesture tells the whole story. Body language experts rely on clusters of behaviors, multiple gestures that appear together and support the same emotional message. For example, if someone is twirling their hair, smiling, leaning in, and making eye contact, the cluster suggests attraction or interest. But if they're rubbing their neck, avoiding eye contact, and leaning away, that might signal discomfort. One behavior without context can be misleading. But multiple aligned signals provide clarity. This approach helps you move from guesswork to informed understanding. The more you practice spotting clusters, the better you'll get at interpreting body language accurately. Segment 7. Timing and triggers. Another key to understanding self-touch gestures is timing. When does the person touch themselves? What just happened? Was it right after a joke, a compliment, or a moment of silence? These triggers provide clues about the emotional meaning behind the action. If she starts playing with her hair every time you compliment her, it might indicate flattery or interest. If she rubs her neck when asked a personal question, that could reflect discomfort. Look for cause and effect patterns. The timing of gestures reveals more than the gestures themselves. It shows what emotional reactions are being triggered in real time. Segment 8. Personality and habitual gestures. Some people are naturally more fidgety or expressive than others. For them, touching their hair, face, or neck might just be a habitual movement with no special meaning. That's why it's important to establish a behavioral baseline. What does this person do when they're relaxed or alone? If self-touching increases during certain interactions, especially ones involving you, it could be significant. But if they always play with their hair or bite their lip regardless of the setting, it might just be their normal behavior. Learning the difference between habit and reaction is essential in reading body language accurately. Segment 9. Cultural and situational factors. Culture plays a big role in nonverbal behavior. In some cultures, touching the face or hair frequently is considered normal. In others, such behavior might be rare and highly meaningful. Context also matters. What's happening around the person? Are they in a formal setting like a job interview or a relaxed one like a casual date? A gesture in one situation may mean something totally different in another. When analyzing self-touch cues, consider cultural norms and the formality of the environment. These layers add depth and prevent misinterpretation. Segment 9. Cultural and situational factors. Culture plays a big role in nonverbal behavior. In some cultures, touching the face or hair frequently is considered normal. In others, such behavior might be rare and highly meaningful. Context also matters. What's happening around the person? Are they in a formal setting like a job interview or a relaxed one like a casual date? A gesture in one situation may mean something totally different in another. When analyzing self-touch cues, consider cultural norms and the formality of the environment. These layers add depth and prevent misinterpretation. Segment 10. Body language in romantic contexts. Romantic or flirtatious contexts often amplify self-touch behaviors. When people are attracted to someone, they subconsciously highlight their features, manage nerves, and seek connection, all through body language. In such situations, gestures like hair flipping, lip biting, or neck exposing can be more pronounced and emotionally loaded. These actions may serve to attract attention, release tension, or signal availability. However, they must still be interpreted within the flow of conversation and mutual engagement. Don't jump to conclusions based on one flirty gesture. Instead, read the rhythm of the interaction, its back and forth energy. Segment 11. Mirroring, a sign of rapport. Mirroring is when someone subtly copies your movements, gestures, or speech patterns. It's an unconscious sign of connection and comfort. If you notice someone adjusting their hair or posture shortly after you do, that could be mirroring. Combined with self-touching behaviors, mirroring might indicate rapport and interest. It means the person is not only engaged but emotionally aligned with you. Look for this subtle mimicry. It's often one of the most reliable signs of connection. Just remember, one mirrored gesture is a coincidence. Repeated, consistent mirroring suggests real rapport. Segment 12. Eye contact and self-touching. Eye contact amplifies the meaning of self-touching. If someone touches their lips, hair, or neck while maintaining soft, consistent eye contact with you, the gesture likely carries emotional significance. Eye contact creates intimacy and connection. It deepens the emotional message. But if the person avoids your gaze while touching themselves, the meaning could shift toward nervousness or discomfort. As with all nonverbal cues, interpretation depends on the full package: gesture, gaze, posture, and tone. The eyes are a window into the intent behind the action. Segment 13. Escalation over time. Behavioral changes during an interaction can be revealing. If self-touching behaviors increase as a conversation progresses, that might suggest growing comfort, trust, or attraction. For example, someone might begin the conversation reserved, but later start touching their hair, biting their lip, or leaning closer. This escalation is a valuable cue. It shows how the person's emotional state is evolving in real time. Pay attention to how things change. Growth in expressiveness is usually a good sign. But if self-touching decreases or turns into barrier gestures, like folded arms, that could signal withdrawal or discomfort. Segment 14. Contradictory signals. What do they mean? Sometimes people send mixed signals. A woman might smile and touch her hair, but her arms are crossed and her posture is turned away. This creates ambiguity. What's really going on? Contradictory signals often reflect inner conflict. The person may feel attraction but also caution or confusion. In such cases, avoid making snap judgments. Wait, observe more, and see how the signals evolve. Clear, aligned body language is more reliable than conflicting cues. Emotional authenticity is reflected in consistency between gestures, tone, and words. Segment 15. How to respond respectfully. Even if you interpret a self-touch gesture as interest, your response matters. Always approach with empathy and respect. If you're unsure, test the waters with light conversation or a smile. See how the person responds. Do they lean in? Do they engage more? Or do they seem closed off? Respect their cues. Remember, body language is about connection, not conquest. The goal is mutual comfort and shared energy, not manipulation. Responding respectfully builds trust and opens the door to real communication. Segment 16. When it's just a habit. Not every gesture carries deep meaning. Sometimes a woman touches her hair, lips, or neck simply out of habit, without any emotional intent. Overanalyzing can lead to false assumptions and awkward interactions. That's why it's so important to observe over time, gather more data, and confirm patterns. The more consistently a gesture appears in response to your presence or interaction, the more likely it has emotional relevance. Otherwise, it may just be routine behavior. Let go of the need to find a signal in every action. Segment 17. The influence of mood and environment. A person's mood and setting can greatly influence their body language. If someone is tired, stressed, or preoccupied, their gestures may be muted or inconsistent. On the other hand, a relaxed, cheerful mood often leads to more open and expressive behaviors. The environment matters too. In a noisy, crowded room, self-touch might be about physical comfort rather than communication. Always factor in mood and surroundings when reading body language. These external and internal conditions shape how people express themselves nonverbally. Segment 18. Combining verbal and nonverbal cues. Verbal and nonverbal communication work hand in hand. If someone's words and gestures align, like complimenting you while flipping their hair, it adds credibility to the message. But if there's a mismatch, like smiling while expressing annoyance, it may signal insincerity. Pay close attention to how self-touching aligns with what's being said. Is the conversation light and flirtatious? Is it serious and stressful? Context shapes interpretation. The most accurate readers of body language know how to merge verbal tone with physical cues to understand true intent. Segment 19. Object interaction versus self-touch. There's a difference between touching objects and touching oneself. Playing with a pen, drink, or phone might be a sign of boredom or distraction. Self-touching, especially to the hair, lips, or neck, is more emotionally charged. It reflects inner emotional shifts. When decoding signals, ask, is the person focused on their environment or on themselves? The direction of energy reveals emotional state. Self-touch often indicates inward reflection, tension, or attraction, depending on context. Don't confuse the two. Segment 20. Trust your intuition, backed by observation. While understanding body language is a valuable skill, don't underestimate your intuition. Often, your gut picks up on emotional signals before your mind can explain them. If you sense someone is engaged, interested, or uncomfortable, you're probably noticing subtle nonverbal cues. Combine that instinct with what you've learned, patterns, clusters, timing, and you'll become more perceptive. Body language reading isn't about formulas. It's about awareness, respect, and connection. Use these insights wisely, and you'll improve your communication in every area of life. Conclusion. To wrap it all up, self-touching gestures, like touching the hair, lips, or neck, can be rich in meaning, but they're never definitive on their own. They can signal attraction, nervousness, comfort, or habit. The key lies in context. What else is happening in the moment, what other cues accompany the gesture, and how the person typically behaves. Learning to read these signs takes time and observation. Don't jump to conclusions. Instead, build an understanding based on clusters, timing, and emotional flow. Respect and empathy should always guide your interpretation. Remember, body language isn't a cheat code, it's a language of connection. The more you learn, the better your conversations and relationships will become. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Got questions or stories? Drop them in the comments. We love hearing from you. See you in the next video.